Hi my loves, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jackie and as the title may suggest, we're doing something a little bit different today, but something I've really wanted to do for a long time. So I've been through my entire collection to see how much of it is actually cruelty free and what isn't. I've got makeup, skincare, toiletries and fragrance to discuss with you. I'm going to be really honest about what surprised me, what disappointed me and what I'm planning to do going forward. So grab a drink, get comfy and let's get into it. So first of all, we'll talk about what cruelty-free actually is. So cruelty-free is determined by a company that's not simply just not testing on animals. So cruelty free is they don't test on animals at any stage, their suppliers don't test on animals, and they don't sell in countries where animal testing is required by law, and ideally they're verified by Leaping Bunny or PETA. So cruelty free also doesn't just mean vegan. Vegan is no animal derived ingredients. So now we're on the same page in terms of cruelty free. Let's jump into my collection. So starting with makeup, because that's where most of my collection sits. I was actually really happy here because I feel like I've got some good foundation. So brands like Revolution, NYX, MK Beauty, Benefit, Natasha Denona and Huda Beauty are all cruelty free, and that's a big chunk of my day-to-day makeup. But a few things that I didn't realise were not cruelty free. Some bigger brands like L'Oreal that sell in regions requiring testing, and those are quite disappointing. Also, let's talk about She Glam. While She Glam is cruelty free, it is deemed unethical based on what we know about Shein. But you could say yes, you could say no, because it's an affordable way to get good quality price items at good prices. So I leave that to you to decide. But overall, my makeup was definitely my strongest category. In terms of skincare, it was a bit of a mixed bag. Brands, again, like Revolution, Aura, Superdrug and Boots own brands are all cruelty free, but which is amazing because they're affordable and easy to find. But I also had some non-cruelty free items from brands that I didn't realise were not cruelty free. And they were things I'd actually got free. Skincare can be really tricky because obviously you buy things for a specific concern and you don't necessarily think about their testing policies, and I've really struggled to find a comparable replacement to my Clinique, and I feel like I'm going to have to compromise on my beliefs if I can't find something that works for my skin. I've been throwing money at cruelty-free alternatives, but I'm not really any better forward. So other than knowing I'm not supporting Clinique because they sell in China. So I might have to purchase some Clinique, but then to soothe my conscience, I might donate to animal charity, for example. So in terms of toiletries, this category was a bit of a minefield, really. So a lot of everyday toiletries like shower gels, deodorants and hair care aren't actually cruelty free. Some brands that I assumed were cruelty free actually weren't, like Nivea, Vaseline, Sure and Sanex. And the biggest shock for me was Bath and Body Works. I was very upset. Superdrug, Boots and Dove is a lifesaver here because they are cruelty free, clearly labelled and affordable and accessible for everybody, I feel. In terms of fragrance, this was one of the hardest and most surprising categories, but was it really when I think about it? Because some of these big brands are selling, and was I ignorant to think they weren't selling in China? Most mainstream perfume houses are also not cruelty free because they're linked to bigger companies like Marc Jacobs, for example. I did have some cruelty-free options, but a lot of them had to be deemed unknown. And Sol de Janeiro is cruelty-free, which I was so happy about. But the unknowns I'll be using up first. So in terms of percentages, so makeup mostly cruelty-free at 94%. Skincare quite a lot, 83%. Toiletries mixed, more towards non-cruelty free, so 62%, and fragrance is a mixed bag at 70%. So overall I'd say about 85% of my collection is completely cruelty free, which is really good. A lot better than I expected, but there's definitely room for some improvement there. So in terms of my honest thoughts, I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to suddenly go fully cruelty free overnight. That's not really realistic, and I've already bought the stuff, so I don't want to just throw it away. But the audit has made me think much more about what I'm buying and what I'm doing. So it also made me aware that whilst an individual brand may be cruelty free, it could be linked to huge manufacturers that are not cruelty free because they sell in China. NYX is an example of this. They're certified cruelty free, but they're owned by L'Oreal, who is not cruelty free. Estee Lauder is another example. They own Too Faced, Bobbi Brown and Smashbox, but Estee Lauder is not cruelty free. Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy owns Kat Von D Vegan Beauty and Fenty, but they're linked to non-cruelty free, they're linked to cruelty free brands like Sephora and Benefit. But what I'm definitely going to be doing is use up all the non-cruelty free items I already own, replace them with cruelty free alternatives, be more conscious when I'm shopping, and look for brands that are more ethical. And I'm not aiming for perfection here, just progress. So in terms of my recommendations for you guys, if you're trying to go cruelty free, there's some brands here that I really genuinely recommend. So for makeup, it's like Revolution, Elf, Huda Beauty, MCO Beauty and NYX. Skincare would be Revolution again, Elf, Pixie and Garnier. Toiletries would be Superdrug, own brands, Boots, own brands and Dove. And then fragrance, I leave up to you. Sol de Janeiro, as I say, but it's personal, so I'd recommend doing your research. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really enjoyed doing this video, and I hope it's helped you understand cruelty-free beauty a bit more, and maybe inspire you to check and review your own collection. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a cruelty-free shopping guide or a cruelty-free starter kit video. As I said, it's not about completely wiping out my collection to replace everything immediately, but what I have done is I've made a little non-cruelty free tub in my on my vanity, dressing table, whatever you want to call it, and I will take from that first, try and use those items up. Some items I've actually already sold. I went through, I had some full-size skincare that I probably wasn't going to use anyway in reality, so I just sold those. I've already sold a few on eBay and Vinted to get them out of my collection, but for someone else to enjoy, because it's not just about throwing everything away and starting again. As I said, that's not realistic. So please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.